I'm a video editor, or I was. At this point, I'm not even sure what I am anymore. My name is Alex, and for the last 5 years, my life has been a silent loop of glowing screens, coffee mugs, and the endless clicking of a mouse. I've edited everything from corporate training videos to wedding highlight reels. It's a job that demands perfection but offers no glory. It's about making things invisible, cutting out the awkward pauses, smoothing the transitions, making it all look seamless. The first sign something was wrong was a flicker. It was a late-night session working on a client's travel vlog. The footage was boring sunsets, smiling faces, the usual. I was cutting a sequence of a couple walking down a busy street. As I scrubbed the timeline, a single frame, a tiny sliver of a second flashed on the screen. It was just a burst of static, a digital hiccup. I paused, rewound, and played it again. Nothing. The frame was perfectly normal. I figured it was a rendering glitch, a corrupted pixel. I wrote it off and moved on. A week later, the client sent a new batch of files. This one was for a short documentary about a local art installation. The footage was shot in a dark, cavernous gallery. As I was going through the shots, trying to find the burl sequence, I saw it again. The same kind of glitch, but this time, it lasted for 2 frames. And it wasn't static dot, it was a quick flash of something that looked organic. I rewound it, frame by frame dot, it was a face. Or what looked like a face. Distorted, elongated, like it had been stretched and compressed 1,000 times. It was looking directly at the camera. I froze. The gallery was empty in the shot. I scrubbed it back and forth. The face would appear for just 2 frames and then disappear, leaving the shot completely normal again. It was a digital ghost. I thought I was just overworked. The human brain is a funny thing. It finds patterns where there are none. I exported the project, hoping the glitch would vanish with the final render. It did not. The finished video was clean. Perfect. But that strange, distorted face was burned into my mind. I started seeing it in my nightmares. In my dreams, it would be clearer, its mouth a gaping hole, its eyes black voids. I'd wake up in a cold sweat. I took a few days off to clear my head. My girlfriend, Maya, was worried about me. She said I was pale and that my hands shook whenever I held my phone. "You've been staring at screens for too long, babe," she told me, rubbing my shoulders. "You need to disconnect." I tried. I really did. I went on a hike, left my phone in the car, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still being watched. I felt it in my periphery. The world started to feel like a high-resolution video that I was stuck inside. When I got back to work, I was determined to prove to myself that it was all in my head. My next project was a simple one, a promotional video for a local cafe. The footage was bright and cheerful steaming lattes, smiling baristas, the gentle hum of conversation. As I was importing the files, I made a joke to myself. "No creepy faces in this one," I muttered. And then I saw it. In the shot of the cafe's front door, there was a man walking by outside. His face was blurred, a normal part of the background. But as the shot continued, the blur seemed to solidify. His head turned, and for a split second, I saw it. The same distorted face from the art gallery footage. It was him, the glitch ghost. This wasn't a random occurrence. This wasn't a corrupted file. This was happening with different cameras, different locations, different projects. I started to panic. I called my IT guy, a friend from college, and told him everything. He laughed at first, then went silent as I described the face in detail. He told me it was impossible, that a digital anomaly like that couldn't possibly be a recurring figure across unrelated source footage. He said it sounded like a classic case of screen fatigue and suggested I see a doctor. I told him he was wrong. I was terrified, and his calm, rational explanation only made it worse. I went back to my office. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the mouse. I started digging through my old projects, the ones I'd finished and archived. I opened a wedding video from a year ago. It was a beautiful shot of the couple dancing. As I scrubbed it through, I saw a person standing in the background, out of focus. It was a woman with her back to the camera. I zoomed in. Just as she turned her head, the frame flickered, and her face became a distorted, gaping void. But this time, it wasn't the same face. It was a different one, a different glitch. I checked another old project, a real estate video. I found it in the corner of a shot of a living room. A faint, nearly invisible figure standing in the doorway. It was a man, and his face was the same as the one from the cafe footage. The one from my nightmares. This wasn't a single ghost. This was an army of them. They were in the footage. They were always there. I was just the first person to notice them because my job was to find every single flaw. My heart pounded in my chest. I live alone. I have no idea who would be at my door at this hour. I grabbed my phone, and for a second, I thought about calling the police. But what would I tell them? There's a ghost from my video projects at my front door. I knew how insane that sounded. The banging stopped. I stood still, listening. Nothing. I walked quietly to the door, peering through the peephole. There was no one there. I breathed a sigh of relief. And then I heard it. The faint, rhythmic tapping of a finger on glass. I looked through the peephole again, but this time I saw something that made my blood run cold. It wasn't the front door that had been hit. It was my bedroom window. And there, standing outside, was the face from my projects. He was looking right at me. He was real, and he wasn't alone. The windows of my apartment started to flicker. Not just the physical windows, but the digital ones too. My computer screen started flashing, displaying fragments of my own face, distorted and terrified. The phone in my hand buzzed violently as its screen showed a video of my own apartment, shot from the outside with me standing right in front of the door. The sound was a low hum, a deep, guttural noise that shook the very foundation of my building. The faces, they weren't digital ghosts. They were real. They were watching me through my screens, and now they were breaking through the glass. The man outside my window raised his hand and waved slowly, a mocking wave. He opened his mouth, and I heard a sound that wasn't a voice, but a data file being corrupted. A screech of pure static that made my ears bleed. I stumbled backward, dropping my phone. I felt a presence behind me. I turned around, and in the reflection of my monitor, I saw him. The face was standing right behind me. It wasn't in the video anymore. It was in the room, and it smiled. A wide, inhuman grin that stretched from ear to ear. The lights in the room went out, plunging me into a darkness where only the faint glow of the monitor remained. The last thing I saw before it all went dark was the face, its eyes glowing with a terrifying digital light. They say I was found 2 days later, curled up on the floor of my apartment, my face pressed against my dead computer screen. They say I was unresponsive and that my body was cold to the touch. They say I were taken to a psychiatric ward, that I still don't talk. But I'm here in this room, and I'm still watching the screen. My life is still a silent loop, but this time, the movie is all about me. They come and go, the nurses and doctors. But the faces are always here. They flicker in and out of the corners of my vision. And every time a new person walks into my room, I can't help but see it. That little digital glitch, a flicker, a distorted face, they're in the code. They're in the video dot and now, they're in the world.